Travel World Online had an interview with Norbert Stiekema, Executive Director Global Sales, MSC Cruises. He said,
Let's make this an open forum as much as possible. But maybe before we shoot off the questions, I'll just tell you a little bit about MSC and what the plans are. MSC is a company that was created in 1970. Let's say one generation ago, and in one generation it created a company that has 200,000 people working for it in over 150 countries in the world. And we are the biggest container company in the world. Of all the sea containers that are leaving India, one out of every 4 containers is an MSC container. So for us, it's from the cargo side, the Indian subcontinent is extremely important. We have been in India since a long time, but it has always been sort of a smaller market for us. The main focus has always been European markets, with the USA and South America. Over the last 10 years, we have been the fastest growing cruise line, privately owned, in the world. And that will continue in the coming 10 years, because if you look at the order books of the different cruises, we still have an enormous amount of growth ahead of us. Since we are a very global company, so unlike some of the competitors that are really very focused on the Caribbean, for example, or other areas in the world, we have itineraries from Shanghai until Buenos Aires. So we really cover the globe from an itinerary perspective, but as well from a source market perspective. And since we have such a huge growth coming ahead of us, one of the major opportunities we identified is India, where increasingly we see a middle class that's really attracted to cruising. Quite some cultural changes as well, and I think we have the absolute perfect product for us. And we see as well increasingly, Indian guests on board of our ship. Our medium-term focus is as well to see whether we can get an MSC ship in the domestic waters. As you know, there's Cordelia at the moment, and we obviously, from a product perspective, we are positioned above Cordelia. Not only are the ships bigger, but they are as well nicer. So with all the respect for Cordelia, we are a bit more upscale. And we believe that for that upscale market, there's real potential here as well. That's it. So we are here, in order to speak with our partners like Lotus, but as well like some other partners, and to speak with the government, because this is India, so there's always some bureaucracy where we try to work our way through. So we have had quite some good sessions here as well, specifically with Cruise Bharat, and I think we're one of the major drivers as well within that team, in order to see that regulation is being adapted in order to make cruising easily. Because cruising is not difficult because we bring everything to the country. But there needs to be some regulations in place that makes it for us feasible and allows us as well to deliver a high quality experience to our guests. There is a lot of efforts from the Indian government. There's a lot of developments take place from the infrastructure perspective. If you look at the development of the ports. So now we need to work on the regulatory part of it. And that's why we have been giving a lot of focus on that these days. And for the ones of you that have been in the panel, obviously there's in the cruising, there's the 2 main variables are the ship and the source market. So from a ship perspective, there's 2 options. International travel and domestic travel. Now, the international travel we are developing, it has a good growth. But if you really want to step change cruising in India, you need to have a domestic operation. So whether that takes 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, we don't know. It's very much in the hands of the regulatory bodies in India, but it's a focus for us. And why is it a focus for us as well? Because we believe the moment that people are exposed to a quality product like MSC, even on short cruises in Indian waters, the step towards an international cruise in the Med or the Caribbean or Northern Europe is easier to be done. Nobody will spend a lot of money to go all the way to Northern Europe taking the flight, going for the visa without knowing the product. So you need at least have a small taste before. The Cordelia could be a small taste because better obviously the we give it. So the longer or the medium term objective is that from a cruise perspective. Then if you just do the numbers, if you would have an relatively small size ship, like we have the Liga class ships, which have, let's say, total passengers easily 2,500. So per week, there would be 5,000 passengers. So if you would have that ship 40 weeks per year, because there's some weather implications as well in the Indian waters, 40 weeks times 5,000 is 200,000 passengers. So that's only one ship. The objective of Cruise Bharat is 1,000,000. So if you have there's already Cordelia. So if you have 4 other ships, you're there. So our intention is to contribute to that. Yeah. Then obviously, if you put a cruise in Indian waters, it's 95% Indian market. So it's very important that you have the support of the distribution over here, and once we are taking next step as well, that we start putting a little bit more organization in place as well from a commercial perspective, because the potential is obvious. It's here. There have been so many not tests, but so many um, opportunities like the Costa Serena last year, and you could really see, which is the competitor, but we still look at that. You could really see it was a successful operation, and even if it was for a short term, so it clearly shows that there's a lot of potential.
Korea said to be they're only better the market. The Indian market, cruising market, in fact, maturing. There's a right time to enter into.
No, I think it's not. It's far from maturing, because the amount of cruises compared to the size of the country and the size of the length of the coastline is extremely small, and that's why we, but as well many other cruise lines are seeing the potential in India. I think Cordelia is only scratching the surface, and it's only for one segment in the market. I think this market, allows for way bigger.
What potential do you see in this market?
Huh?
What potential do you see in this market?
What we see in this market, a lot. From a number perspective,
Yes.
well, no, I think that the 1,000,000 cruisers, sea cruisers, that Cruise Bharat defined is doable in a couple of years, as long as the regulations is being taken care of, as long as tax issues, or the serious tax issues, I won't go into the details here, but if they're tackled, that's the main hurdle. That's the main hurdle. The India needs to make sure, it's very simple, because the beautiful thing of a cruise ship is that it moves. So every cruise line in the world, small or big, they will always look at, okay, where do I put my asset, in what period, and what kind of profit does it give me? That's because we're all companies, so we look at how can we maximize our profit on the longer term. So we have to make sure that the tax situation for cruise lines is such, that it just makes more profit in the Indian waters than it maybe makes in another part of the world. That's the easiest calculation. As long as that's not the case, ships will not move from the Caribbean or from the Mediterranean East Med or the West Med or wherever in the world. They will not move.
Any expected time you will get in India?
Any?
Expected time, right?
No, we need, from the moment that there's clarity on on whether the business case makes sense for us, because there's no idle ships. There's not, if you have a cruise line, the rule of any cruise line is ships must sail. That's all, whether you Carnival or Royal or MSC or Costa, doesn't matter. Ships must sail. So they're always deployed somewhere. So as from the moment that we can see that it makes financially sense to put the ship in Indian waters, and we need to as well, fine tune it for the Indian taste because it's not the same as Europeans. We look at different vegetarian options and entertainment need to be different. So you need to adapt it. But from the moment that we have, let's say, clarity on, hey, this makes financially sense until the ship will be in the Indian waters, we need around 2 years. First, because any ship has been booked. So if you look at the next 12 months, for every ship that's in the MSC fleet, that's probably the same for the competition, it's booked for 50%. So you just cannot take it away because you have half the passengers. So that's not what you want to do as a brand, of course. And then you need to, make sure that there's an organization in place, that you recruit the people, that you have an entertainment concept on board, that you have a food concept on board, so that if you really fast track all that, you talk about a 2 year timeline. That you can't say because there's market maybe that give a lot of revenues, but they're risky. Sometimes there's a war all of a sudden, or there's markets which are very stable, which are very solid, which are helping us filling as well the last few cabins when we have them available, like Italy, for example. That they don't have the highest price. Why not? Because if you have it sailing out of Bari or Brindisi or Ancona and it's not full, you will see the Italian market to fill up the last one. So their average price will always go down. So it's very difficult to say. What's important to say is that we are the number one in the Mediterranean, and we are leading from a market share perspective in Italy, France, Spain, uh, Greece, and a few other countries. But the main markets in the south we're absolutely market leader. Not in Germany because you have two German cruise companies, AIDA and TUI Cruises, obviously, which are stronger because they only focus on that market. So in the market where there's not a real uh, cruise line focus on that market, we are basically number one in Europe. In the area of the Mediterranean, we're number one. We are number one in South America. We are number one in the Gulf. We are number one in South Africa. And then we're catching up in the Caribbean and in Asia. And all these markets are important for us for different reasons. No, we're doing a lot of mice. So we have traditionally doing a lot of mice. But I think the challenge for us is to become in the minds and the hearts of the Indian people a mainstream holiday option. So we need to enter the consideration. So in marketing terms, you always look at awareness, consideration, intention to book. Now the people go through these different steps. And first, it's important. Obviously, we cannot create awareness with 1.4 billion people. That's slightly expensive, for a relatively small market segment as we are. So we need to be really focused on that people start, the ones that are thinking about the holiday, that are starting considering cruise as an option, and then obviously in our case, they start to consider an MSC cruise as an option. That's why our distribution partners are so important. Because for us it's nearly impossible, to talk to Coca-Cola can talk to 1.4 billion people, or Apple, but we can't. So we need to create very strong partnerships, to help us, explain when an Indian guest is coming into a travel agency or on the website or on the phone. Hey, okay, you want to do this, you want to go to this resort in Turkey, but hey, have you thought about taking a cruise from Kusadasi or from wherever? Have you thought about this as an option? Okay, tell me more about it, or we'll do some research about it. That mainstream market, that's what we need to develop. That's the back in every market where cruising is big. That's where the big market is. And then mice is nice because it gives the first experience, to see, hey, this is a product I've never thought about. There's spin-offs. But the end game for us is just the mainstream holiday option for the Indian people, the Indian family, whether it's multi-generational or not. We have the MSC, what we call contemporary cruising. Then we have on that same ship the yacht club. So we have this special area where people have a private butler, bigger cabins, some private restaurants and other, let's say, drinks included in the cruise price and a few other benefits. That's the second level. And the third level is a new company that we created 2 or 3 years ago, Explore Journeys, which is ultra luxury. Uh, so if you think about these, that makes us extremely strong in the market because in the US and in UK, you really have agencies which are specialized in luxury. But in other markets, it's the same passenger that has different occasions. So let's say I'm going on a cruise holiday with my family, then I go to MSC Contemporary. I go on a cruise holiday with my wife, I go to the yacht club. I go on the cruise holiday with my new fiance, for example, which I still need to impress. I go on the Explore Journeys or in the 25-year married, whatever. So there's an occasional part to it as well. We can cater for everything. The new ship, yeah. The World America.
Yeah, so for me, like brand new, how excited are you about it?
No, I think there's two things. Yeah, okay, well, to Europe now. So it's a series of ships as well, and we will not stop at the North America. But there's two things which are notable is that we will launch that ship in beginning of April in Miami, and it will sail then to as well our private island, and it's a 2 or 3 nights. What is it? Is it 2 or 3 nights? The inaugural sailing of 2 nights, and no, it goes back to Miami, and because it's more to showcase the ship, but we're opening as well the new cruise terminal. We will have the biggest cruise terminal in the world, actually in Miami. So there's a lot of focus of Embassy Cruises in that part of the world as well.
How was your release season this year?
Full, it's one of the most successful seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year we had 2 ships. This year we had 1 ship, the Eureka, a very beautiful ship. It has one of the highest winter occupancies of the fleet, and our occupancy is always between 96 and 98%. So it's not like 60 or so it's somewhere in between there. And with a very high what we call NPD, net per diem, which is the price that guests pay per day. So it has been a very profitable season for us. Complex issue is of course that we don't sail through the Suez because that ship normally comes from Europe and then does the Arabian Gulf and then sails back through the Suez. Now we need to pass Africa now, so that's a lot of days. Or let's see, but hopefully that's gone quickly. But that is a very good season for us. Yeah, but we have been working a lot on that, and we have been seeing as well a significant, that's more important for the Indian market, a significant increase in yeah. As we all know now, it's Dubai is an India city. Half the people are Indians now, so. Yeah. 80? I still at 50%. Really? Okay, that's Indian. That is 80%.
It's really a lot of foreigners are coming, but with all the 10-year visa holders,
Yeah.
a lot of Indians actually have to.
Okay. The advantage of the Netherlands, my country, is there's only 18 million people. So if you want to talk to everybody, it's not that expensive. I'm not saying you need to talk to all Indian people, but if you want to talk to 1.4 billion people, that starts to be expensive. So there's a huge advantage of the size of the country and the growing middle class, but there's a huge difficulty in communicating directly to them. So that's why the distribution, the travel trade is so important in developing this market. It's impossible to develop the Indian market for any cruise line without strong distribution travel partners. It's impossible. We're not ever going to try it.
No, I understand. But you and others have a network here of agents who are very dedicated.
Yeah, we are creating it. One of the reasons we are here is to be here with our partners, explain the product even better, make sure we understand. Sometimes we are not doing things well, no? So sometimes we are maybe too focused on the European market, on the American market, and things need to be different in India. We need to understand that better. You cannot understand that, only by phone calls, and you need to be there, and you need to understand, that if you're going to a trade fair like over here, that all of a sudden you can't use your phone anymore, or your internet doesn't work. If you say it, it's one thing. If you live the life, or the transportation issues that are popping up, you create a different sensitivity, which is important because we are not looking for plus 10% or plus 20% in this market. We're looking for a doubling our business every single year because that's if not, it makes no sense to be in India. Then better to ask France or Italy to do a little bit more. We need to go plus 100, plus 100, plus 100, plus 100.
You are watching Travel World Online.